because you've messed me up now. Yes, you have.
This must have been the most professional countdown ever.
You messed me completely up. Hello, casuals. It's Pretty Casual Game. It's Pretty Casual Gaming. It's Tehnoobcake. I'm all of us now. This is Slandy's fault. It's Tehnoobcake here, and we're on episode 14 of what we are now branding Casualcast. On that, we are planning to go back and rename all of our old podcasts, and obviously, any going forward, we will be calling Casualcast. That is because Pretty Casual Gaming Podcast, A, sounded a little lame because it was just our channel name with the word podcast at the end, and B, it's just more catchy, really. Secondly, before we actually get into anything, I just want to say that my internet is a little funny at the moment. And so should I disconnect at any point, Slandy will be taking the lead on the podcast. However, as soon as I rejoin, I'll take control again. And I'm sure Logix and Chief will have plenty to say themselves, which means it shouldn't derail it too much. As always, with me is Slandy.
Hello.
And we have Logix again.
Hello.
And with us yet again, we have Chief.
Hi.
So I'm not going to do the whole introduce yourself, Chief. You've already been here before. People should know you. And hopefully you are going to be here for a little bit more, a few times.
Well, I hope so.
I think you already gave me an idea to talk about a podcast for our next one as well, so... You're already contributing to the channel. You're not even part of it.
I'm just that productive.
But speaking of the channel, one of the things the thing we're talking about today is the pros and cons of small-time streaming. Because obviously all four of us really are small-time streamers. I believe Slandy, who is dying, has the highest viewer, the highest followers out of all of us. So, Slandy, you are not allowed to contribute to this conversation because you're the big streamer here.
Oh.
Damn elitists.
Has someone redeemed Hydrate? I see someone saying it in chat.
Yes, we have a Hydrate.
Oh, God damn it. Yeah. All right, here we go, boys.
Thanks, whoever it was.
Cheers.
Mr. Popper. That just means that after we finish the stream, I'm going to run for the toilet again if this continues.
So, as always, our podcast started with a little pre-prep that went disastrously. Now, Chief can vouch for that.
That was the most professional pre-prep I've seen apart from the one from the last stream, which had me in it as well, coincidentally.
So,
it might be a me problem.
Going forward in the conversation, I think I want to speak about something first that I think all of us can relate to about being a small-time streamer. And that is when you are streaming, and, you know, some of us go for like 3-4 hours with our streams, and you have nobody responding in chat. So it's just dead air. I think that is my first con of being a small-time streamer. Do either of you have anything to say on that before I put my 2 cents in?
I mean, yeah, sure. I can go first if you want.
Angry German, go ahead.
I'm just perpetually angry that it's just part of my personality, not my nationality. But that aside, I don't know, like, it always depends on, like, what you're doing, mostly. Like, if you're doing something where you're just sitting around a whole lot of the time and you, like, glance over to your Streamlabs or something all the time, just trying to see if anyone, like, said something, it can get annoying. Like, I get that. But if you play, like, anything that's, like, I don't know, like, engaging or requires you to be, like, hyper-focused on what you're doing, I don't know, any, like, form of, like, high competitive PvP games or whatever, like, I think it's actually not really that much of, like, a difference. I mean, when you're streaming, like, I think you stream Battlefield or something like that as well, when you're actually trying to, like, see what's going on the screen on, like, a second-to-second basis, I don't think, like, it's the biggest issue, like, not having to interact with chat all the time. It's mostly when it comes down to something that's, you know, like, a little bit more slower paced or just, like, doesn't allow for a whole lot of commentary, where I just feel like I'm just sitting there and then I'm just talking out of my ass because I need to say something, because otherwise it's going to be quiet because I don't have any background music running in my streams apart from, like, the games eventually.
Wait, there's a difference between you talking ass normally and talking ass on stream?
Yeah, a big one. one of those forms of shit talking is going to be recorded and can be held against me later on. The other form is just for your private entertainment, and I will deny any accusations later on.
Now, Logics, I know you definitely had something to say on this subject matter, given your last stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to have some, people to bounce off of. The best advice that I was ever given by a larger streamer, I'm not going to say large, but larger, is to always be talking about something, because obviously you don't want people to just come into the stream and you're just sat there slumped in your chair, not talking, doing, nothing. So, because obviously they're just going to leave. But at the same time, yeah, it's kind of, it bugs me a little bit, because obviously you just got to talk about nothing pretty much. If not much is going on in your game or whatever you're doing, you've got to kind of just pull something to talk about. It's not the best.
Apparently, nobody can hear you.
Apparently nobody can hear me. That's right.
God, why don't you just talk to your chat? God, Patrick. Do you want to test that and see if people can hear you now, or have you?
I can't do anything about it. My mic is on 200%, which is the
I just upped him by a 50% extra on Discord. So let's see if that helps.
Knowing he is the quietest among us, you didn't think to do that before the stream.
As I said, 10 out of 10 pre-prep for the stream.
Logic's earlier as well is like, oh yeah, we don't need that time to prep. It's all ready. We fucking need the time.
We just started 10 minutes late. I mean, that's still good.
So, Slandy, have you got anything to say on the subject matter of people not talking? Because in fairness, when I come in your streams, most people actually talk to you. Like, it's a little depressing when I go into your streams from my own, and people are actually spamming you with chat.
Yeah, when I started, I basically knew no one, and it was annoying to keep looking over at the chat and not see anything at all. And even after all, how long have I been streaming for? I think 4 years or so. It's still, yeah, it still annoys me when the chat is not going on or something. But I also learned to be better to accept that compared when you're a small streamer and the chat is not going on. People do have things to do while lurking and stuff, so yeah. It's annoying, but it takes a long time to get into an attempt being that you need to accept that is how the Twitch life can be at times.
Well, I accept it. It doesn't mean I'm happy about it.
No.
Because I don't. For those of you who've actually seen me stream recently, most notably Kenna, I had a few moments where I'd like, nobody's fucking talking, fuck this. And it wasn't. Yeah, I got a little angry with that game at times, and kind of the lack of chat for me. That's the thing as well. My anger, it kind of feeds off itself. So if I'm angry and there's no way to get that away, I become angrier because it's it just recycles. And so one of the things particularly on the final boss of Kenna is I was getting so angry I was going red. People were commenting on it, but I was like a tomato. And I had people coming in chat and they were jokingly being oh, get good and all that lot. And much to his own regret, Pheasant was telling people not to do that. But for me, that was actually really good because it meant even if it was negative, it was a form of energy that I could respond to. I could look over and see something and it would make me chuckle every now and then. So it stopped that, what I'd say is me mirroring the anger right back at myself, because that's what it was. I was just getting angry and then there's nothing coming back. So I'm just getting angry at the fact that I'm getting angry. So the chat helped me a lot in more difficult games. But it is a case of like, I like to believe I have a lot of bullshit that I can just spurt out for no fucking reason. But I'm sure you guys all know, once you go live, once you press that fucking go live button, suddenly your brain just becomes fucking empty of everything you could say. You just like, and particularly in games where it's like Chief said, when it's a little slower, it's nice to sometimes have that chat that you can like. You say Skyrim, for instance, when I'm doing the Skyrim runs. There's a lot on Skyrim that I could kind of narrate enough that it's keeping the content going. But then there's always those times where just nothing's happening. And you're like, if I had, when you look at like a bigger streamer and they like look to chat and they can just speak for an hour, just bouncing off a chat, that would be so great to have that there, because then you've got something to bounce off. Like obviously big streamers have built themselves up there. They've dealt with what we're talking about now. They were small time streamers at a time, but I think that's the biggest crutch a big streamer can have is their chat, because they can just, if all else fails, they can look at their chat and bang, they've got content for the next hour.
I would argue that depends mostly on, especially when it's a bigger chat, like how well moderated the chat is as well. Just because, I mean, there are like several streamers out there where I would not even like unfold the chat window if I would watch them in the first place, just because of the amount of spurks they have in their chat, just spamming the same shit over and over. I personally, I've never been like anyone that talked a lot in like Twitch chat. I do it when I watch like your streams or something, just to give something to engage and make it easier. But overall, I would like rather be somebody that watches stuff quietly. Like I watch a lot of like stream recaps just on YouTube as well, because I wouldn't engage like anyways. Like I'm more of a watcher myself, so like that's like easily understandable. But whenever I see like some other like Twitch chats even trying to make out something where somebody types like more than like 3 words, can be fucking impossible the way some chats go, and especially the ones that are like worse moderated. You find like 90% bullshit in there, and it's just, I mean, of course there are like the bigger people out there which are basically just famous for engaging with that bullshit and becoming like artificially angry at that or something, while they are like full well no, they're just clowning around on stream basically just for the enjoyment of these people. And I mean, that's down to them. I mean, it's great if they can make money off of that, but I personally would fucking lose my mind if I had to deal with like on a daily basis like 9,000 people just constantly typing just bullshit in chat, like nothing you would like want to engage on like on a normal like human basis. You just do it because you're streaming essentially, and it's like kind of what you set yourself up for. But I don't know, like when I see a lot of chats, I wouldn't like even want to speak to like a lot of these people like personally. I preferred like to have like a easier conversation going, which I would argue is like better when you still have like a smaller audience, that you can like actually pay more attention to the people that are actually talking, while other people can just like sit back and just watch for themselves, essentially what a lot of people do as well.
Well, I think that moves me on to my first like pro of being a small time streamer, and it's kind of that double-edged sword. It is, whilst having no chat annoys me, I also like being a small streamer because as you say, I don't have those massive chats. Like if you go into like Asmongold's stream or the currently Rich Campbell's guy or anyone, like I don't even know many big streamers, because I avoid them purely because of this reason. Because it's only recently I actually found out you could hide the chat. And so that was a big thing turning me off a lot of streamers is the chat scroll. Like I play Final Fantasy 14 and I fucking detest the chat scroll in that game. So having it on Twitch where you've got a million fucking people messaging and the chat's just going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, how the fuck is anyone keeping up with this? Like, that's one of the things I like is, as you say, it's much more personal as well. You can respond to a chat and stuff like that, which I think is great. Because I do like that. That is actually the reason I stream on Twitch and not YouTube. I could easily make a bit more content by having some extra editing, because obviously on Twitch you are just purely whatever the fuck you're recording. You don't get all the editing that can make shit funny and stuff like that. Like, whereas if you put it on YouTube, you could, because you could obviously go through, take out what's not funny, only leave the funny moments in, add little animations and shit that can add it funny. And that's just something that, like, I want the interaction. Like, that's the whole reason I'm a Twitch streamer, not a YouTube streamer. I want the community. I want that conversation about anything, really. Like, I'm quite an open book. Like, I've said probably not politics when it comes to pretty casual gaming, just because I feel like that's just a fucking disaster waiting to happen. But anything else, I'm quite happy to openly talk about, like, literally anything. So it's nice to have people who will come in and ask questions. In fact, I recently even, like, added a redeem where people can redeem, ask me a question, and I have to answer. I don't know if Logic's noticed that, because me and Popper were kind of annoying him with that in his stream. But do you have out to say? Any of you have that to say about anything?
Yeah, I mean, other streamers definitely have the no politics rule. It's a good one. There's quite a few other things, topics that are obviously a bit hot that people don't like to talk about. Somebody in chat made a good point, which is that you can still pause the chat when it's, if you just scroll up on it or hold out.
Yeah, but if you're one of those big streamers, you're going to be holding out
when
every
the chat is
millisecond.
it's like just enable slow mode, obviously, but
yeah, but even with slow mode, I've seen some of those chats still go because you just have so many people.
Relative term, I guess, in this case.
When you've got like 25,
I like constant questions. All of the questions all the time.
But it's like when I watched, because I watched Asmongold when he first came over to Final Fantasy 14, because I wasn't like a big Asmongold person. Honestly, I didn't think I'd like it. I just did it on a whim. And I think at that time he had 200,000 viewers, and he put it into slow mode and subscriber only mode on his chat, and it was still flying. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how does anyone keep on top of shit like that?
The difference is as well, if slow mode is enabled, like, especially the people that spam a lot on Twitch, then just basically just fill out the entire cap of like everything they can put into one message, and you just get like bigger messages spammed. Like, if you want to see that, you go over to the Riot Games channel right now, where the last Game of Worlds is on right now, which is in slow mode all the time, and everyone will spam like fucking 5 or 6 lines filled with emotes and like really long stuff all the time, because they can just type like once a minute. This is just people will just adapt to basically keep the chat as useless as possible. This is just the natural evolution of Twitch creatures.
So have you got any opinion on the pro of having a much smaller community, Sandy?
The pros is, I think, having a small community is like you get to know each individual person a bit better than compared to like a big streamer. They have 1,000 people basically they don't know anything about, or well, they don't know as much about each person compared to like a small streamer and his community. So in that sense, I would say that's a good pro for being a small streamer.
Yeah, the other good thing is if you go into a stream and there's a lot of chat going on, you can often get ignored.
Yeah.
And obviously, with a smaller stream, you don't necessarily get ignored. I mean, when I'm streaming, I'm reading every single message because, you know, there's not like a massive flood of them, so I can keep up.
I'm quite lucky recently, and there's a streamer I go to watch who is on our follow list on Pretty Casual Gaming, because I'm awful and forgot to log back into my other Twitch, so I just kind of use this now as my own Twitch. So we got people I'm following on this that I go in, and I joined her channel when she was like 50 followers, and she's now at like 750. And I can go in there sometimes, and there's still a fair people talking. But I was lucky because I got in early, which means that when I go in, because I don't go in often because I don't really get much time to go watch other streamers. But when I go in, she notices my name, and if I talk, even as Pretty Casual Gaming, when she's used to me as Tehnoobcake, she immediately responds. Well, not immediately, but she responds as soon as she sees it. So I think that's another good thing about being a smaller streamer is not just you getting to connect with your fans, but it means if you ever become a bigger streamer, you will always remember who was there for you from the beginning. Like I will remember like Pheasant, Popper, Chief, you two obviously, but you helped me do the channel. But we've got all these people, most of them now who have like VIP status and shit. Cal hasn't been around in a while, but he has VIP because he was there for us when we were just starting. So it's really nice that we have those people that we remember who were there for us when we were struggling. And we're not like out of the water yet. We're still only 61 followers, but it's getting to that point now. We're getting a lot of more names that. Why is Papa complaining about? But we're getting a lot more names that we're noticing, and when they come in, and it's like even on when Logic streams, because obviously we've got people who come in for me, but now when Logic streams, some of them are going in to watch him, and he knows the names because he's been in my streams. And thank you for the gifted sub to Garlemalding from Papa.
Churning out the big boys here.
So, going back to cons, I want to bring up the fact of the con that is reaching out to other streamers can be a little harder as a smaller streamer, because obviously not everyone does what we do, which is, we're trying to be this kind of like, we're not just a gaming streaming channel, we're trying to do a bit of variety, really. And we have projects where we'd like the podcast, for instance. And I've got ideas for other projects for the future, maybe once I've got a computer I can actually do stuff decently. But we've got we have things where we want other streamers. And by God, there's a lot of streamers I'd love to go and just be like, hey, yo, you want to come in my podcast? But obviously they're fucking huge and it's like no one knows them. But when you look at like bigger people in like the communities of their games, people who are well known and they've got, they can just be like, I want to be in a podcast with this person, and they'll be invited on like the next day. So I don't know how you guys feel about the whole idea of like trying to get more. I mean, we were quite lucky that we got Rick really early, and that's kind of helped us build a little community because we got Devin as well through Rick. And like he didn't need to do that. Like he was when we were at like. We weren't even on Twitch at that point. We were still back on YouTube and had 13 subscribers. We were fucking nobody. And most of those subscribers were me and Slandy on our fucking own personal channels. But we went to Rick, and Rick at the time on his YouTube was like fair, not like he's not like huge, but he had over 1,000 subscribers. He was 1,000 followers on Twitch. He gets like 8,000 views regularly on his YouTube videos. So we were quite lucky that he accepted our reach out to him. And I only even did that because I was in his personal Discord and I kind of just went out on a whim and asked him. But like, there's plenty of other people I'd love to have on. And I don't know how you go about just like messaging these people. Because as I say, I was lucky with Rick, I was in his Discord. But most people haven't got time for us. We're nobody, really. I don't know how you guys feel about the kind of like feeling of reaching out to someone who's bigger content than you are.
I mean, I personally haven't done that, even though like I had an idea as well where I would actually like to talk to people that I follow as well, partly, which I think would obviously be easier, like when you just like have like a bigger stream, bigger community, more followers, whatever. But just from the experience I have, like mainly through other people who are like domestically very successful here in Germany, who I grew up with, and I think they are still among the 5 biggest YouTube channels in Germany with roughly 2 million followers or something like that. I talked about a lot of stuff with them as well, and Mainly, it's especially for like bigger people, it is like less a question of like that would they like get like views or followers from that. It's more like pitching like a good idea to people, just like normally, maybe without like sucking up too much to people, because a lot of people try that essentially with them as well. And that is just like stuff that gets straight out ignored. But like if you just like ask people like normal people, because they are still normal people at the end of the day, like despite all the success and like people knowing their faces and whatever, like that still doesn't change like on a personal level. And when you just like personally write them a message or anything, I mean, this is like an interaction as well, which just happens between like two persons without like all of the like span of like how many followers or whatever do you have. It's more like basically trying to get to a point like quickly. What do you want to do? Like, what do you envision? And then like if they want to be part of that or not. I mean, like obviously they get more people that would ask them in the first place. But from most of the people that I know that are like rather more successful, I would argue the least amount of them actually like base a decision on like how like big the name or whatever is that is actually asking them for like following through with the project or something like that. If it's not like something that is like a collaboration that's going to run for like, I don't know how long. If it's just like, like a podcast like this one here or something like that, it is usually not even that hard to like get people if you just like have a normal talk with them.
So do you two have any opinions, logics, Sandy? Anything to bring to the conversation?
Not particularly. I mean,
we got a drink again, boys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, also before we do get a review opinions, I'd like to thank Storky Boy for following. It annoys me because of the setup I have. Here's the biggest fucking con of being a small time streamer, not having the money to fucking get a decent setup. I'm having to use the PlayStation's Twitch, and it doesn't show me when people redeem out. So, you guys during the podcast are my eyes and ears for that, and I meant to be the host of the bloody channel.
Mm-hmm. And it's worse because I don't like to interrupt you if you're talking. So
that's what I'm here for.
I believe Slandy might have had something to say.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, about contacting other bigger streamers or just like equal streamers or so on. I haven't been the best at it, but I think what I used a lot was the rating and hosting functions on Twitch. When I started out, I went like into the category of games I was playing, and then I scrolled a bit down and was looking at what other people of the same game were playing and tried to find an equal number to mine, and then I slowly built the community that way. So yeah,
that's a pretty smart idea. We should really start raiding and host. I mean, I host if I'm like if I go to watch someone and our channel. We should have auto host on this, but for some reason it's not working. I like to try host people on this channel if I go to watch them.
Yeah.
Obviously, not many people are paying attention, but it might help.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think for me the biggest problem with the whole reaching out to people is I don't know how. I mean, I'm technologically impaired as hell. Like Logix is my technology man. If I need outdone on even when I had a laptop, it was like, oh, it's breaking down. I guess I'll just share my screen with Logix and he can fix it for me because I ain't got a fucking clue what's going on. I no word of a lie. For the longest time, I didn't even know you could set up a playlist on YouTube. This was like a couple of years ago. I figured out you could do that. So I was having to watch single videos all the time and write out what I wanted to search. And if I went into the shower, I just had to put an hour-long video on YouTube to have background noise. I had no fucking clue. Like, it's always amazing me when I go to my grandparents or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're good with computers," and I'm like, Am I? Like, when did this happen?
I mean, I'm impressed. You're possibly the only person I know that's a bigger gremlin with technology than I am. And I have remote fixed people on my PC as well if something happens. But I mean, at least I knew I could make a playlist on YouTube.
But then obviously with the cons, we spoke about the cons of the small-time streaming. I want to bring up the pro of the same subject, which is, as Slandy said, if you're a smaller streamer, there's a lot more camaraderie with smaller streamers, and you can build communities that way, which I think is really helpful. Like, obviously, when I go live, I advertise us going live in obviously our own Discord, in my Final Fantasy 14 FC Discord, and then I usually go and promote in Slandy's Discord, Rick Tater's Discord, and then Psychic Gorilla's Discord, which is the woman I was talking about who I go watch. I've had people come in from them because I've been in there lurking in their streams and talking in their streams, and so I usually get people coming in from their streams. I think it's really cool. Like when you are a small streamer, that you can just build up these kind of like communities with other streamers, and I've definitely seen it in Slandy's streams. So I don't know. Have you got out to say about that, Chief? I feel like you will.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about anything pretty much. I think like it's a preference thing. I think it's a good thing if you like can actually collaborate more with people. It might just be that like I personally just even when I'm streaming and when I'm like talking to chat or anything like that, I kind of like to be like on my own for that as well. And like I've never even like looked up like people that have like less viewers or whatever streaming the same games, because sometimes I just stream something on a whim anyways. Like 50% of what I do has like no plan behind it before I actually go live anyways. It's more like I feel like, I don't know, playing fucking Payday today, and then just like, yeah, let's just fucking stream, and then I was just gonna stream that for like 5 hours. I don't fucking care. And if anyone's interested in watching me being shit at shooters, well, they can watch me and tell me that I'm shit at shooters. It's like not really
I can relate to that because obviously you've seen how I stream. I have my series which go to YouTube, and they are planned, but then everything else is just social stream. It's just me deciding to play whatever the fuck I want to play it.
That is essentially how my streams go as well. It's just like I play whatever the fuck I want. That was a point I wanted to talk about in a bit as well, just like in general, like the liberty of just choosing whatever you want to play on basically a day by day, or even like in the fling of a moment, basically just going from like I don't want to do like PvP anymore. I'm just going to do something else now in this game. Just change the fucking stream title and here we go. Like it doesn't matter. You're not like bound to a game.
It is really nice, and you're a guest tonight, so I really don't like doing this. But let's keep on topic for now, and then we'll move on to that one.
No, I just wanted to like pitch the idea to you, so we can talk about it later.
I feel like if I let you go on, we would be in a completely other subject in 2 minutes.
Oh, don't worry, I can do that as well if you want me to.
Chief for derailer.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you don't really reach out to us. I mean, you kind of do. Like you say you don't, and yes, we know each other through a game. But we've kind of built a community somewhat together because you're obviously not part of Pretty Casual Gaming. For a start, we can't afford to have a fourth bloody member already.
I mean, I like to be independent, so.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like you are, you're coming here, and we like to try and advertise. You like to try advertise people coming to us, and we try to advertise you. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. Someone's asking about leaks. I'll pay out leaks so we get absolutely fucking nothing. Enjoy that.
Fucking great. I mean, I fixed all my passwords and stuff on Twitch as well, so I think we should be fine. We knew of the leak like pretty early on because I was noticed in the morning already. But yeah,
we got on top of that pretty quick. Wow, we would have got it done faster if Slandy hadn't got the password he linked us wrong. So me and Logix tried to log into a car, and neither of us could because the password was wrong because Slandy had sent the wrong thing to us. It kind of reminds me of the preparation on the show. Very organized. Genius. But yeah, Logix, I want to go into you because I know obviously you've built your personal community, because obviously you're part of the Pretty Casual Game community, but you kind of have your own community on top of that, because obviously you go to Jake's streams, and then you obviously had a little bit going on before we brought you into Pretty Casual Gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really cool. So people in communities like that, at the end of their stream, they like to say like, "Oh, we're going to go and find someone a little bit smaller to go raid," as opposed to raiding like large time streamers, or people who are at their level where they're doing really well and have hundreds of viewers, which I think is really nice. And their whole community is kind of based around that, pretty much, like helping smaller streamers build up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that was a Slandy level finish right there.
Oof.
So Slandy, have you got out to say on that? Obviously, you already kind of said your 2 pence before we went into it, but
yeah, some of the people who basically rates me as well is like people I met through other streamers as well, and just been active in their communities on Twitch, and right in their chats when they're online and stuff, and then they just slowly find out you're streaming as well, and then they dump a big weight on you somehow, somewhere, and you're caught unaware of it, and yeah, it's good. So.
Well, before we move on to our next topic, Logix, before we started, asked me to do this. So, does anyone need to take a break? Because I think I need to use the loo quickly.
I don't need to, but I could.
We didn't have many hydrates yet, but I'm fine.
Yeah, but I drink tons on my own outside of a hydrate because I'm an idiot. So
see, that's why I stopped doing that. I did that on the last stream. It was a big issue.
So we're gonna take a little 2 to 5 minute break, depending on how long I take. So everyone, wait for us. welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it break and got out of it what you needed to do. We certainly had ours, although thankfully we saved ourselves some trouble with Chief muting himself and not remembering to unmute himself like a genius.
I'm an expert.
We're just rubbing off on him. That's what the truth is. We soon his streams will be all disasters before they've even started. So obviously, before we left, Chief brought up the topic of like what games you stream and stuff like that. So I want to let him take the floor with that subject.
Exactly. It's mainly a thing I noticed for myself because streaming has always been a thing I have been thinking about for a long while, but I could never really decide on like what I really like wanted to do, like which game I really wanted to stream. I was just like, I bounce around like a lot in my head in general, like just thinking about this kind of stuff. And now that I just basically picked up this like willy-nilly thing where I just stream what I enjoy, because I still like think that just like streaming stuff that I genuinely enjoy rather than streaming the same game 5 days a week, while I might actually not enjoy it anymore after 3 weeks of just doing that over and over. Overall, it's just a liberty I can just take because with a smaller audience, of course, like you're not bound to only have like, I don't know, like 1,000 followers that only watch you when you play like one specific game. And it's just like, for me personally, it's like an upside, I would say, to like small time streaming in general. Same for like liberties on your time as well, of course. Like whenever you don't feel like it, you can just like end your stream like a bit earlier or something like that, or just go longer when you feel like it. Just swap games like even in between or something like that. And I just wanted
my
to
streams, I do that.
Exactly, and I just wanted to like get an opinion, like if like having just fewer people watching, but like in turn like giving you like the choice of just like doing what you enjoy more is like something you would actually embrace more, or is it like something you would all like just rather say like I would rather go into like more of like one thing if it like just grows the like entire audience and streaming altogether?
Well, in my own case, obviously, you guys, all three of you, and probably most people watching, have been in my streams. There's always going to be Final Fantasy. That is always going to be a part of who I am as a streamer. No matter whether I'm small or big, it doesn't matter. Final Fantasy will always have a stable place because as a gamer, it has a stable place in my life. But I definitely don't like. When we originally started the channel, it's not a story probably many people know. It originally was going to just be like when me and Slandy first even conceived the idea of what is now Pretty Casual Gaming. It was originally just going to be a podcast talking about WoW versus Final Fantasy 14. And then we got to the day when we did our first podcast, and we were like, we should really like kind of let people know like what it is we're interested in first. So maybe we'll do a podcast letting people know what we're into first, and then comes to the second one, and we're like, should we just talk about anything? So within like one podcast, everything was thrown out of the water. And then obviously we became streaming and games and stuff, thanks to Slandy giving me a camera. But it was a thing where I had to look at it from a point of view of like, I'm very methodical in how I've tried to do Twitch. Whether it's worked out or not is a different question. But I was like, do I want to do, because I could easily just stream Final Fantasy 14. I know everything I'm talking about with 14. I'm a content guy. I do PvP. I know the lore, all of that shit. I could do whatever the fuck I wanted if I just focused on Final Fantasy 14. But then it's like, as you said, do I want to be streaming Final Fantasy 14 every fucking day, every week? I love the game, but no. Like, I like to play a bit of different games here and there. And it was like, if I focused on one game, I could probably like skyrocket the channel like up, because as you say, people find a game and they like to stick to that, and you could have 1,000 followers, but the moment you go to play another game, you suddenly have no one watching because they were only watching you for Final Fantasy 14. They couldn't care. So I literally, from a like a mental standpoint, was like, I'm gonna start streaming everything just straight off the bat, whatever the fuck I feel like, because if I stream just one game, I'm fucked when I want to play something else. So we're a variety channel, and we will always be a variety channel because that's how we want to build from the ground upwards. So that was my intention. But obviously, then it came to a point of like, yeah, I'd like to do, sim games where I like play from start to finish. With example, with Haven, which was obviously the first game I streamed. But even whilst I was doing Haven, I was like, I don't want to be streaming Haven every day. So then it came to a point where I was like, I'm not going to say invent, but I had the lurk streams, as I called them. And they were just, I can play whatever the fuck I want. People can come in. I don't really, they don't have to like it. We don't have to come in. It's not like the main focus of the channel. But I'm going to stream. And obviously, I now call them social streams rather than lurk streams because it sets a bad precedent right at the start. That's when I'm going to start going, really? No one's fucking talking to me. but the idea is then I can just game whatever game like you said, whatever you're in the mood for, whatever you're excited about, and that way I can play games but also share my joy of games with the people watching. Obviously, whatever I do as a series will always be a game I enjoy. Like, I don't expect that to be any different. But obviously, I've also set a redeem wherein people can get me to eventually buy a game, and then I'll play that as a series until I've finished it. So there will be more stuff like that probably in the future once people have a bit more redeem points and can fucking screw me over out of all my money. But yeah, as far as gaming is, I think it's just a better idea for you as a streamer, especially at I think at the beginning is when you should set it. Like, you shouldn't start with a one niche game. Get really far. Like, for example, Sandy, if you just only fucking stream Resident Evil, because then the moment he gets to a certain point, if he wants to stream anything else, he's fucked, as he said. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the whole gaming, whatever.
Yeah,
I kind of went on about.
I was going to talk about that as well. Like, streaming just one game is kind of dangerous because if that game, suddenly starts getting bad press or something, it does something really.
Imagine being a World of Warcraft streamer right now.
Yeah, then you're going.
They're all Final Fantasy streamers now.
So you'd be going down with it. I'm definitely on board with the whole just stream what you feel like streaming thing. As you guys know, I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to what I want to do on a particular day. And that changes even from like hour to hour, let alone day to day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as I say, you've been in a stream where I've been like, I'm playing Civ 6 now. I'm bored of this. Let's go on some Call of Duty. I'm bored of this. Let's go play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, so...
Thanks again for the gift sub, Papa.
Yeah, go ahead. You were saying something?
No, I was just thanking Papa for the gift sub.
But yeah, so it's good to have the variety and not to stick to something specific, just because you'll get bored of it, and if, like I say, if something bad happens to it, you're going to get that. That's going to come back to you as well. In his case,
with this channel, as I said, Final Fantasy 14 will always be a part of the channel. Slandy and Logix have been forced into the Final Fantasy 14 corner because I bring it, and at the end of the day, I do plan most of the stuff we do as the podcast and stuff like that. So Final Fantasy 14 will always be kind of, a thing, but it's not defining our channel. We are not a Final Fantasy 14 channel. Hence the name Pretty Casual Gaming. Like, if it was going to be a Final Fantasy 14 one, we could think of something like, Chocobo Gaming or something themed. But the reason we are Pretty Casual Gaming is because we're somewhat casual. I'm fairly casual at games, with the exception of 14. I play games in the hardest difficulty, but I don't commit hard to games. I'm not like Logix on Destiny, who will live on the fucker.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have Final Fantasy because it's something that you know a lot about. I have Destiny because it's something I know a lot about.
And if we ever need to do a zombie episode,
yeah,
we have
Resident Evil, we have Slandy.
Mr. T Virus over here.
So it's always good to have your favorite game as one of the things you can do, because then people can talk to you about it, and you will know what you're on about.
In a way, it's a crutch. If you have a game that is your game, it's your crutch, really. And that's the thing as well, because of us obviously being a group channel, because it's something we'll talk about later. But we're a group channel, and each of us has a different game, and that's great. Because if all 3 of us were just like, oh yeah, my game is Final Fantasy 14, Sandy's game is Final Fantasy 14, Logic's game is Final Fantasy 14, it's like, well, that's going to be a boring fucking conversation. But that's the thing is also, even with these podcasts, we can look at something and we can all look at it from different points of view because of the different games we play. And I think that's great. Don't know if you've got an opinion on streaming different games, Sandy, because obviously you do a fair bit of that.
Yes. There's, like I said, there's pros and cons, even for variety streaming and everything. First of all, it's harder to grow a community with a variety streaming compared to...
The thing is with the variety streaming as well and growing is, if you're boring, you're fucked because you're what they're there for. Whereas if you're a niche game streamer, you kind of can lean on the game a little.
Yeah.
Is there a hydrate?
It's time, boys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, think about what you're going to say, Andy.
Always stay hydrated, kids. That's important.
Yes. What I was going to say is that, like, if you are streaming a single game each stream, and every time for the last couple of years forward, you will be able to build a community a bit easier, I think, because people know, oh, Slandy is streaming a lot of Resident Evil. We can just go and he will be streaming Resident Evil again today. Woo! Everyone loves it for his views and everything. But like, if anything happens with the franchise, it dies or anything, then the viewership is gone completely. So I personally know a few streamers who have built their entire communities just about speedrunning Resident Evil 2 remake, etc. Nope. What are you doing?
Okay. My tablet's like running out of charge. I was going to try to see if I could put that in without it.
Oh, okay. But
Fine, I've took it out.
Oof.
Well, I was going
Seems to have messed up the picture.
I have.
I was going to say something about the I was going to say something. And
then do a technical difficulties whilst Slandy has messed up everything.
No, come on.
Yeah, so it's about variety streaming. Like, it's good to have like just a few games where you're gonna have goals to work towards, so you're not like all over the place.
Yeah, to pick that up, like not even like only like goals. Like there's still a few games I want to like play on stream as well, single player games as well. But I don't know. Like for me personally, even though while I think like streaming, even for people that like do it as a job, I think it's just like more enjoyable. I mean, any job I think would be more enjoyable if you have more than like one task to do like every single day. And I think like overall for me, like this, the same reason why I'm doing this like in the first place is at the end of the day, like I am just like a gamer, and as much as I play like on one game, which I usually have like one MMO I spend a lot of time on, I always play like a variety of games, and like my love of games in general is not something that is like just centered on like a singular game. So like I want to share like my enjoyment of like different games obviously with people, and if some people only like follow for like specific type of games, I mean that's just their personal preference. Like I don't like all the games on the market either. Like there's like entire like genres of games which I personally don't like too much, and then like me on the other hand, I enjoy a lot of games which other people don't follow too much. Like I think I know one other person that's like interested in RTS games in general, or even follows like major leagues or whatever and something like that. But that is just like, I think in general for me it always comes down to being like a passion thing as well, and I think that should be something that like carries over to a viewer as well. And then like at the end of the day, it kind of makes it irrelevant for me if it's like harder to like actually find more people that actually want to enjoy that and rather like find people that are equally as motivated and like equally into video games as I am, like as a whole medium in general, which I think is just overall a medium that like since my childhood has basically just grown, and like after all of the bad rap like media phases it had like in the early 2000s and everything like that as well and stuff like that, just like it grew to like such a large margin that I just think it's such a big topic that it's great that we can enjoy more than just like one little bit from it. And I think that is overall the thing I really enjoy doing personally, and those are like the types of people I try to entertain and get into contact with as well, of course, when I'm streaming then, because it's not only just about one game every like single day. I follow multiple things every single day as like any other person would, and I think in general that's like a very good thing because the medium is just so big now.
Yeah, definitely. It's really at a point where like it doesn't matter whether you're like a hardcore gamer or not. Most people have gaming in their lives these days in some way or another. Like even like like mums and stuff are like playing Candy Crush on their bloody phone now and stuff like that. So gaming has just kind of gone from something that was like a very niche, nerdy considered thing to do to people are doing it everywhere now. Due to the fact that my bloody tablet is going to die and apparently me putting my charger in completely destroys the stream, we're going to move on to the next topic. And then after that, we'll do probably close up stuff. So the next one is obviously the editing side of things, the behind the scenes, all stuff like that. Because obviously a lot of people only see, for instance, with our podcast, and obviously we have technical difficulties inside the podcast as we just did a few minutes ago. But like it's really different before the podcast and after the podcast, and even like the videos going to YouTube and stuff like that. Even just my end streaming from my PlayStation, like there's still stuff that we have to do behind the scenes that like people are never going to appreciate quite as much unless they're streamers because they don't see it. It's just hopefully things should fucking work once you're on stream, but there's a whole obviously process to it, and obviously as smaller streamers we don't have access to like paid editors or paid technical people or stuff like that. We're all reliant. I'm lucky in the fact that Pretty Casual Gaming is Slandy and Logics, otherwise I wouldn't have a channel whatsoever. As I said, I'm terrible with fucking computers, so
neither would I.
So I don't know if you have something you want to say on that then, Chief.
No, I asked both of them like a few, not only a few questions, like a lot of questions. I had Logic stream for me how to actually use Streamlabs properly, how to compose a scene, look at the stuff he's doing for his streams as well, like the breaks screens and everything he like animated, which is just stuff I personally couldn't do. I would need to pay somebody to do that for me. But like I didn't even know how to put together like a scene, and like for some reason one of my alerts is still not working, which I'm always missing, which is of course the follow one, which is like the most important one, but it just doesn't give me an audio sound. We have been working on that multiple times and it doesn't do anything. If I was on my own, I could just like pack up and just forget it. Like if nobody had explained that shit to me, I would possibly not even have a camera by now because I wouldn't know how to use it.
Well, we could put it this way. Even to this day, I still have it. If these two decided to just like jump ship and they were like, had a fallout of me, and we're like, yeah, fuck you, this channel would just collapse in on itself because I'm like, well, I'm fucked. They don't even bother teaching me because I just can't learn it. So these two have to kind of carry the weight of the editing process on their backs, kind of deal. So I don't know if you two have an opinion on that, given that you are the prime for, I mean, just for example, like the UI we're using at the moment for the podcast, me and Slandy weren't using out decent. We didn't own half of the fucking shit we were using, so we could, if we ever became big, we would have been sued into the fucking ground. But thankfully, Logix has done all of this, so these two.
Yeah, I mean, the main difficulty for us at the moment is trying to animate, like have nice animated screens and stuff for people to look at while we're here gibbering away. And one of the things that makes that difficult is, for example, what is your opinion on caramel custard filled donuts?
Did he redeem the ask a question, or is he just asking a question?
No, he redeemed that. I don't eat a lot of sweets, I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever had caramel custard. I've only ever had custard-filled donuts, but I like custard-filled donuts.
But yeah, so we trying to animate the like icons and the webcams and things is quite difficult with OBS. And obviously at the moment, if we have somebody else on the stream, I have to go and make another version of all of the animated screens, and then Slendy has to swap them out. It's tricky. We need a better solution, honestly. But like just trying to create something that's visually pleasing, and finding the balance between, do we animate stuff or do we just leave it static and kind of boring, but easier to edit, like on the fly kind of thing.
And doing all of that with no money, like that's the other one.
With no money and with a fairly slow laptop that's got a broken screen is not particularly the best. But obviously, you were saying you want that we don't teach you how to do the editing, which is something that will be a lot easier once you have a PC.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Obviously, my setup is garbage. I'm using a tablet here. I can't just to see chat whilst we're doing a fucking podcast. I have to put the Twitch app on the PlayStation on, have it on my screen next to my tablet so I can look at chat. And again, that doesn't show me if anyone's redeemed shit. So it's all a fucking shit show from my end.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it's reasonable to say like we can't teach you how to do stuff on a tablet because we can't.
There's not a whole lot to do there. Even I know that.
Did you have more to say, Logix?
No, I don't think so.
Slandy, do you want to go? You're part of the. Obviously, you handle more. Logix handles more like our UI elements and stuff, whereas Slandy handles pretty much all our editing when it comes to the stuff that we put to YouTube. And obviously, we don't edit much to YouTube. We had the intention to with Logix coming over, but he got busy doing other things. So, but
with the technical limitations, with the lack of hard drive space.
But also, obviously, there's the fact that we try to put our series and our podcasts and stuff like that onto YouTube, and so Slandy handles all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use your words, my friend.
Yeah. I'm not even sure what I can say about it. It's it's time-consuming thing to do with all the rendering. As Logic also knows that the rendering takes a lot of time, and yeah.
And obviously, you have streaming yourself. You have your own channel that you have to stream for and put onto YouTube. So
yeah, so
working for this channel, you also kind of pulling from your own channel time as well.
Yeah. Like I said, it is a lot of time-consuming things going on in the background. So that's the most annoying thing. But another good thing is each time you go in and you figure out something new each time, even if it's just a small thing or something, it's a learning thing and it's being kept in your pocket and you can always find it afterwards. So
it's like us recently, we've started trying to put thumbnails into things. In fact, I'd like to get a thumbnail sorted for Casualcast at some point.
Yeah.
But even something as small as that, like, originally we were just putting shit up. Then we were putting shit up with an intro. Then we were adding thumbnails. Now we're talking about doing an outro as well as an intro. So it's an evolving process.
You have to decide, like, do we just have the same thumbnail for each podcast, or do we make a separate one each time? Because if you do it that way, obviously that will take a lot more time.
Yeah.
Well, for example, with the Kenner, we were talking about doing a universal one because Sandy has like probably 19 videos from Kenner alone to upload. So that's going to be more universal. Obviously, with our Path to Endwalker, we did like different thumbnails for each episode because we could at the time. It was as simple as just swapping a background away and putting a different title on. But obviously, especially with obviously how much content I will be producing, especially in November onwards because of Endwalker, that's a lot of Slandy's time taken up. And obviously, where it all comes into the whole subject matter of what we're talking about is if we were a big streamer and we had all that fucking money coming in, we could just hire editors who are happy to just do fucking editing to get paid to do all that shit. But we're not. Slandy's unpaid. I don't fucking pay him out because we have no money coming into the channel, and obviously I'm broke as fuck. And even if we do start getting money into the channel, immediately that's not going to any of us. It's going right back into the channel. So unless we start earning like fucking millions out of nowhere, at first all the money is just going to recycle into the channel to try and make money just put into the fucking channel. So that's why we said we couldn't have Raya on as a fucking permanent member of Pretty Casual Gaming, because we just can't afford it. And unless he's willing to add into the channel for free, thank you once again to Papa for the tier 1 sub again for Agent Stace. But yeah, so like that's the real con of small time streaming, is we can't just hire someone to do all this stuff. We have to get Slandy or Logix to do it, and obviously I'm fucking useless, so I'm no assistance. Thankfully, because I'm useless, I bring to the channel more in like planning the podcasts or just streaming as much as I possibly can. But then obviously that's the other thing. Like I don't know if it's more a small time streamer thing and more just a fuck you Britain thing, but I have shit fucking internet and can't stream some days when I want to.
It isn't exclusive. I had that yesterday as well when I was streaming. That like my internet I was losing frames left and right. Like I had to like fucking restart my fucking camera capture like 4 times or something like that. Like it just, I don't know. I don't think all of these problems could be just prevented by having like more money coming into a stream as well. Like it's
when I'm a fucking multi-million streamer, I will buy myself a singular fucking satellite to just beam fucking internet to my house directly.
Beam internet. And here I think our tech experts need to school you again how internet works someday, but we keep that out of the stream for now.
Maybe one day we'll have a fucking podcast where it's just a freaking guide to an idiot's guide to fucking technology, and it's all you guys teach me how to actually do stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I have never
Don't make
heard
a guide to do it live on stream. That sounds great. I want to see Logix just break down live while he tries to explain technology to you.
Just for the sake of the YouTube video later, someone has put in chat, I have never heard a more boomer thing in my life than beam internet.
And it didn't even come from me.
Right, so I don't know, Chief, I've got 15% battery, so we're kind of up to the wrapping it up kind of portion of the podcast now. You had something you wanted to ask our opinions on, I believe, we spoke about on the break.
Yeah, kinda. It was, I mean, we touched on it like before. It was mainly the difference of like pigeonholing yourself like into a niche and like what you actually think about it, which I think we talked about quite a lot already, and I don't really think we need to touch on that again, because I think we pretty much all here like all stream like different things in general, and I think it's pretty clear that we all have like pretty much the same opinion on that topic in general, and that like overall that like the point I kind of wanted to talk about, which we touched upon as well, was just in general that like the passion for like individual games and actually doing something you enjoy, like all 4 of us kind of agree on, is like way more important than just making a product on a like day-to-day basis and delivering it. And I mean, like, it's fine if people enjoy doing that and they enjoy playing the same game for like 8 hours every day and like they make a big following with that. But for me personally, it was just like a thing I like to talk about in general, because a lot of people, when it comes to talking about streaming in general, it's very much from a perspective of like handling it like a job, or like you want to like do it as a job maybe one day or something like that, and way less from just the perspective of just just being a gamer, just putting yourself out there without like any like secondary interest really in the background, other than just like wanting to have fun, enjoying games, and just sharing that with other people as like your main directive, basically, compared to I mean, a lot of people that start streaming as well start out with the goal of like wanting to become big, reach like certain numbers, whatever, which, for example, I personally don't do. Like, if people like the shit I'm talking, that's fine. Then come around and watch me talk more shit. And if you don't, I mean, then don't. It's just like a thing that everyone should know for themselves, and it's just something I wanted to elaborate on a little bit more. That it's just like, for me personally, a way more important thing than just, growing as a streamer in general is just that, like, the way you put yourself out there and how you actually treat the medium of video games.
Well, I don't know if I can speak for the whole of Pretty Casual Gaming as a whole, but definitely in my opinion, when we started Pretty Casual Gaming, just me and Sandy, because obviously we were the founders, the idea was never for it to be something massive. Originally, as I said, it was just me and him wanting to talk about the differences between the two games we played, and then it evolved, and it keeps evolving, and hopefully it will keep evolving from here onwards. And if it becomes big and we start earning money, bonus points. As we say at first, if we do start earning money, we wanted to put it back into the channel. We don't want to take it for ourselves at first. Maybe if we ever became multi-millions and we could split it decently between ourselves and the channel, but the channel will always be the first place the money goes. But yeah, like streaming as a job isn't the intention here for Pretty Casual Gaming whatsoever, because I really enjoy sharing the stuff, and even just the talks and the podcast. It's just something I wanted to do. It's not really and I do approach it from, as I say, like a very business mind. I'm like, what is the best thing for this to grow from this to this? Do I need to plan this? Do I need to, if I speak to this streamer, how will it affect the channel? Blah, blah, blah. So there is that business side. But mostly it's, I only want the business side. I only want us to grow so that we can put back to the channel. It's all about the community for me with the channel. Because I want to go and finish my bloody education in hairdressing and get a job as a hairdresser. And if I do that, I'm definitely not going to have time to be a full-time streamer. And I know Slandy, even if he did want to become a full-time streamer, would want to do it on his channel, Slanderman. We've spoke about it before. Very much the channel of Pretty Casual Gaming is, in the sense, mine. I've put it together, I've planned stuff, and obviously Logix and Slandy do contribute, and they are Pretty Casual Gaming themselves, and especially Logix with the streaming side of things. He comes here and he streams too. But obviously, in a way, I am the face. I stream the most. I plan the podcast. I try to go get all the guests and stuff like that. So, but yeah, my intention for this channel has never been for it to become a full-time streaming business thing. And even if we did get big, I'd have to tell people, if people expected it to be a big, oh, well, he's got enough viewers now, he can quit his job. I don't want to. I don't want to, not do hairdressing. That is what I've wanted to do for a few years now. And it's my entire intention to go and do that. So if a channel earns money, great, but it's not it's not what we set out to start as, and it's probably not what we're going to finish it as either. I don't know if Logix or Slandy have out to say on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I used to stream on my own channel for a while. I did a few games and programming streams. But the thing that always puts me off actually is the idea of getting really large, because I do it because I enjoy it and I enjoy talking to people, but I never really intend to go large time streaming, because I won't have the time for it either.
Yeah.
And being an introvert and not having that kind of big online personality that people like to put on, a facade that they like to put on, being noisy and obnoxious and dyeing their hair bright green or whatever.
Hey, whoa. This isn't for streaming. This is just me.
Yeah, but
it's not a phase, Mom.
You've not gone neon, so you're okay. But yeah,
not yet.
I have had...
That's the whole thing that I would just like to avoid, honestly.
And Slandy, have you got an opinion? Because obviously I know that once we spoke and you talked about doing Slanderman maybe full time.
Yeah. When I started 4 years ago, whenever it was, my idea was just chill, and if people came by, they could watch this annoying Danish person who didn't know how to play a game, or tries to at
Still
least.
Doesn't.
And
Still doesn't.
and yeah, and
Words, my friend.
Yeah, words. What
Yeah,
did
there's a
I?
thing that happens, isn't it, when you go live and your words just escape you.
Yeah. So
Or are you going to talk about how you now want to be a more full-time streamer, perhaps?
I wouldn't deny the fact that I would love to get bigger and maybe, but I don't see myself in that a bit because it is a lot of work that has to be put into it and everything, and I honestly don't think I have the mental capacity to actually deal with it. So and I do enjoy my small times streams. I do here and there. So yeah.
Well, unless anyone else has else to say, so I'm just going to check. Chief, you got else to say?
Not really. No, I mean, I don't really need to go into personality streamers here. I think.
Logics, anything from you?
Not particularly.
And Slandy, anything from you?
Nope.
All right. Well, we're at the closing part, and we're at 13%. So announcements for the channel. I wanted to speak about something quickly about what I've done recently, which is the open feedback, in which I asked people what games they'd like to see me play. I know I haven't exactly honoured the questionnaire that I put out recently, but that's because my internet's been very much playing up. These games I will be looking at and taking into account for when I'm doing lurk or social streams. But coming this week, I will be buying Back 4 Blood, and I really want to stream that with my housemate, and probably with Slandy as well. He will be, obviously you won't see his face, but his voice will be in the streams. So that's something I really want to do for the channel. And obviously I'll be doing that until I probably get bored of it. As I say, I'll probably be doing Final Fantasy streams here and there, because I always will. And then obviously next month, Endwalker is coming out, and that is going to be the channel probably for like the month. Like Logix won't even get a chance to come on the channel because I'll be stealing it for the whole time. So yeah, that's going to be a big part of the channel for like at least the end of November, probably up until next year, because Savage comes out at the end of December, and I want to be streaming that as well for people. You'll probably see me playing and in voice chats with Raya here, because he does content with me, and we're intending to do a lot of content together at the beginning of Endwalker. Don't know if Sandy wants to join us in on that, but
it's gonna be a busy month.
Yeah, so that is the plan from November the 19th onwards. It's just a shit ton of Final Fantasy. So I'll be doing Back 4 Blood starting probably Friday. I think I said to Slandy earlier on, because I'm buying it Thursday, and then obviously I want to get it downloaded. But by the time it's done downloading, it probably won't be till like midday. So that'll be a bit too late really to go live with it. So that'll be coming Friday, and then I'll probably be doing a fair bit of that with, as I say, my housemate and Slandy. If I get time between then, if I get time from now, as of Twitch being live, until November, I will try do, I think it was Skyrim, Subnautica, or Dragon Quest Builders were the 3 winners. So I'll try get some of them done, and people can obviously come into them as lurk or social streams and see that. So I do intend to honour that questionnaire, and even if I don't honour it this year, as soon as I've got free time after Final Fantasy Endwalker has kind of slowed down, I will go into doing some of them next year. But there is a lot of games coming up recently that I am really looking forward to. So they will be games I play, but they will be reserved for social or lurk streams, not actual streams, because I've got Saints Row, I've got Stray. There's a lot of games next year that I'm looking at that I really want. So that's pretty much the announcements really for the upcoming stuff. Logix will probably stream here and there where he can. And obviously, if you want Slandy's content, you can go to his channel and give him a follow. And Rayo the same. He plays a lot of Dead by Daylight on stream when he actually does stream. So
exactly, either that or I played a lot of like Payday recently again as well, and once I'm done with my preparations for Endwalker, I try to get back into like the more interesting side of Final Fantasy as well. I guess I'm gonna stream like the rest of the trials I have to farm and stuff like that for the people that haven't seen them. But the main thing for me, yeah,
you will be doing day one trials next.
exactly. You will basically get the second perspective from me when we're gonna grind out a lot of stuff together over, I think it will be most likely the entirety of the first months of Endwalker, at least. And for all the other stuff I'm gonna do beforehand, like I'm just trying to get the boring stuff out of the way right now off screen, and then I'm gonna stream like the stuff for people that have not done the trials or like want to have a look, people that are not like interested in doing them themselves or something like that. And otherwise, I still have like a few other games I still want to continue playing. Darkest Dungeon, for example. I still have a complete Assassin's Creed lying around, which I haven't even started on yet, which I wanted to 100% on stream as well. So for me right now, it's mainly getting back into streaming more regularly. I am going to be online tomorrow again at, let me do British time. I think that should be then like around 2 the BST tomorrow, where I will most likely go live for like several hours till like the evening. On Wednesday, I will not be around, and then Thursday onwards, most likely over the entire weekend, I will stream during the evening, roughly around the same time as well.
Sandy, do you have any announcements for your streaming schedule? You just here and there.
Just here and there, but in terms of games I plan on streaming, actually, I've been thinking about StarCraft 2. Might do the entire franchise as well. Not completely sure if I will start with StarCraft 1, maybe. It's only a maybe.
Play co-op with me. I'm a big StarCraft
nerd. that we can figure out as well, if we can play some co-op together. But yeah, that is what I have planned, at least. So.
And Logics, have you got any?
Yes, the first thing I have planned is honouring the hydrate in chat.
Over the hydrate.
Cheers.
I will like to continue the programming streams probably, possibly even tomorrow. Not set in stone again. It depends how I'm feeling on the day. As you guys might have noticed, I was taking Sulfurix weeks because talking on stream for hours on end is kind of painful. So I would like to continue those. Obviously, before I'd mentioned about the Borderlands streams, wanting to do the endgame challenge. That will still be a thing. I don't know exactly when as of now because I still have a lot of prep work to do.
Well, if it's end of November, it won't be.
Sorry?
If it's end of November, it won't be.
No, it'll probably be a while after that. And then, of course, early next year, Destiny has a new major DLC coming out and a lot of game changes happening. So I will probably at some point next year want to stream that, preferably as soon as it comes out. But I'm not entirely sure when that is at the moment.
Yeah, it's something we'll have to schedule together because obviously I probably have games around the same time.
Yeah, it'll have to be a. It'll have to be a thing. If you are streaming around that time, I will just hold off on playing the game until afterwards because I kind of want to stream the first playthrough of the DLC because it's going to have quite a lot of major stuff happening, as well as some fairly large game changes.
Speaking of stuff involving Logix is almost finished with Heaven's Ward. So in the coming months, when we can get him on, we will more than likely have a Realm Revisited with Devon again, but this time for Heaven's Ward. I'm not going to set that in stone because I haven't spoken fully to Devon yet about when he's free for that. And obviously Devon did ask us after our last one if he could be on again. Now, we'd love to have him on. He's a great sport on the podcast. And also it will mean more questions for the quiz. So we will be having a second quiz at some point. So you can look forward to seeing these three have absolutely no knowledge of the game whatsoever.
I'm an expert at knowing nothing.
Exactly. And then after that, we'll have to wait for Logic to finish Stormblood, probably next decade. A little in-joke with me and Chief. Other than that, if you're over on the Twitch and haven't already, please give us a follow. If you are over on the YouTube and haven't already, please give us a subscribe. We will link the YouTube in the chat for those who want to go find the YouTube. If they want to see any content that we do on the series, they will be put to there if you miss them. Also, podcasts go there, and bits here and there will go there too. We have a Discord, which will now be in the chat. If you're watching over on YouTube, it will be underneath the description. As well as Twitch, if you want to be watching more of our content, we do most of what we do on Twitch rather than YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please look in the description and go to our Twitch and leave us a follow. Other than that, like and comment if you're on the YouTube side. And I think that's about everything. So we will all catch you all in whatever next video we have. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.